You sort of you gave me an idea. It just got me thinking about something. And
Hmm.
I know that your definition of healing, right? Because we were talking about taking control of your own individual healing journey.
That's right.
And it's embedded in your definition of healing. So I would love for you to share your definition of healing, because then I'm going to ask a question, a follow-up question about that. Okay?
Sure. Very simple. Healing is an action you take that changes your state for the better long term. And if you're listening on audio, that's 5 points that I just said. Okay. So it's an action. It has to be action oriented. Healing is not passive. Healing is not sitting around on the couch watching Netflix. Now, sometimes we need to do that because that's part of self care, but that's different, right? So it's an action, and you have to take this action. And it goes back to what I said before. If you are sitting around wishing, hoping, waiting, praying for somebody else to do something to make your life better, you're going to be wishing, hoping, waiting, praying for a very, very long time because there's no guarantee that the person is going to do what you need them to do. And what I don't want is betrayed partners to stay stuck in that land, wishing, hoping, waiting, praying, because every day that you stay stuck in that land is one less day on your healing journey. So it's an action that you take. You must take it. And it has to change your state. What do I mean by that? It has to change you, either your emotional state, your mental state, your physical state. It has to change something. When people, we actually have a few clients. I think these are more on Sarah's client list, I think, but it doesn't really matter, who aren't even going through betrayal. They're dealing with all kinds of anxiety and depression. We're starting to work a lot with like the older children of the couples that we work with, right? Because when we talk about like depression is the sameness, right? It's like I'm down here and I feel down here and nothing is going to change. So I'm depressed, okay? When I talk about my healing definition, an action you take that changes your state, we have to change. If I'm in a depressed state, I have to do something. I have to move my body. I have to change my thoughts. I have to step outside and take a breath of fresh air. I have to do something. Again, it's why there's an action behind healing. But that action has to change you in some way, whether it's changing my thought. I can't stand my husband right now, to, you know what? I have control right now and I'm going to walk away. That's changing. That's changing your state, right? So it's an action you take that changes your state. And here's the fourth one, for the better. For the better. And you would think that that's obvious, but it's not. It's not. Sometimes we do things, we're changing our state, we're taking actions, but they make us feel worse. We have to recognize those. And that's why the diary, the healing diary that I talk about in Pain to Power, lines up directly with this definition, right? But then the fifth one, which is kind of an add on, is long term. Because I can do something, I can take an action, it can change my state for the better, I can feel better. But if that better doesn't last long term, then it's not a healing action. And this is the example I use all the time: screaming, screaming. An action, I'm yelling, that I take, I'm yelling, that changes my state. Oh, yeah, yelling changes my state. It revs me up for the better. I feel better after I yell and I get it all out. But then what happens the next day or the next hour? Most betrayed partners feel guilty. They feel guilty that they lost it. That was me to a T. Because guess what? Betrayed partners by default are not angry, bitter people. We're not. But we turn into very angry people after betrayal because the pain is so deep. So if I'm yelling, I was a fighter. I admit it. I could fight with my husband screaming for hours on end. And I say that with all vulnerability. So I always felt better after the fight was over. But then there was this part of me that was like, God, Beth, why did you do that? Why did you do that? So that's not long term. That's not long term. So we can do there are things that we can do that change us, that make us feel better, but if it's not long term, then it's not really healing. It was just something you did in a moment to release some of the pent up anger or whatever rage that was inside. So that's my definition of healing, an action you take that changes your state for the better long term.